There was an internal battle going on every time.
Ultimately have to get really comfortable pretty darn quick sitting in that uncomfortable space.
I had a paper diary. She was absolutely mortified. It was this never-ending cycle.
Well, there are a lot of new listeners out there, so I thought it would be a good opportunity to reintroduce ourselves, actually, and go, how did we get into this crazy thing that we are doing?
Tell our own little tales.
Tell our own little tales, yeah. There's too many dog puns in the world, isn't there?
Yeah.
So I'm going to start by interviewing you a little bit. Take me back to where it all started for you in your dog business journey.
Right back to the beginning.
Yeah, why not? No?
Right back from Dot?
From rescue.
From rescue. Okay, so I started working at the Blue Cross in 2003. My God, that sounds such a long time ago.
Doesn't sound it.
It is a long time ago. I took a chance on, don't know what you're going to do here. I knew she was going to do that. Queen of the jukebox.
It was coming.
Not
Take
like
a chance, take a chance.
Took a chance on a maternity cover job. Had no clue whether I was going to get taken on, but I did. And I had a passion for dogs. And it didn't take very long before I was trying to take over the world and go, all these dogs need to stop coming into rescue. What can I do to help that? As much as like I was already working in rescue, but how else can I help? So I started my little dog training business with Puppy School franchise, and I did puppy training. So that's how I suppose I started in a niche, but I didn't stay in a niche. And it wasn't probably a year, or I can't even remember now, it was that long ago, that it went from offering just puppy classes to, and that was puppies under 20 weeks. So it was very specific. And I had enough clients, FYI. I had loads of clients, but I would get inquiries from dogs of other ages and their owners, not the dogs, of other ages. And so I thought I need to adapt and I need to offer more stuff. So I started, like a lot of dog trainers, introducing adolescents, follow-ons. Then that followed by agility and hoopers and scent work and what else did I do? Workshops, one-to-ones, all one-off things. And pretty much created a plethora of services that was like a one-stop shop, and I was the only person offering all of those things.
So help me understand then. So when you said you had loads of inquiries and you had lots of work at Puppy, what did that look like? How many hours roughly? Like, what was you actually working?
So I was working still at the Blue Cross then. So I was working full-time then, and I was probably putting on like 2 to 3 classes of 8 puppies a week, and I was filling them consistently.
And how much was that bringing in?
Oh my God. When I first started, there was 60 quid a course. So do the maths on that. I'm not sure. I'm so bad at maths.
I haven't even got my calculator.
No, nor me. So like 60 times 8, 16, I like between 2 and 3 classes a week. So let's say 21 people times 60. And that was on top of that Blue Cross wage, which was shocking, by the way. So it was like a small
Never a good
supplement.
wage, is it? In
No,
rescue.
it was £8,000 a year.
Fucking hell.
That's what my 37 hours a week at the Blue Cross, £8,000 a year. And then that class income was on top. So that wasn't a lot either. I know. Wow. And I lived on my own then. I had a flat on my own.
I mean, I know it was a long time ago as well, but
yeah,
it has, like, I'd actually say
less of the long time ago.
Yeah, but it's risen in what's the word? It's like even when because I obviously went into dog training a lot later, and I can't remember the year now, but I would say even in recent, but it was within the last 10 years, there was a head behaviourist role or something at Birmingham Dogs Home, full-time hours, and that was only 15 grand.
Yeah, it's still shit now.
So it's the same technically, isn't it? It's just because everything else has gone up with inflation and all that jazz. But okay, so if at that time then, did you feel that you were earning enough with all the puppy classes?
I scraped by, I suppose. I lived. I was careful. I went to the pub every weekend, amazingly. I don't know how I managed to do that and pay all my bills, but I did. I didn't really I had quite a simple life, I suppose, back then. I didn't really go out hugely, bar going to the local pub and stuff. So, yeah, I pretty much lived within my means.
Okay. So if those puppy owners hadn't have asked for more stuff, would you have put them on?
Well, actually, the puppy owners didn't really ask for more stuff. It was everyone else that would inquire where they were. Because it was quite a small window of like, had to be 5 months or under to fit the puppy school criteria. So there were a lot of inquiries where they were over 5 months, usually between 6 and 12 months, let's say.
Yeah.
And that's where I started my Kennel Club Good Citizen classes for those kind of dogs, which I absolutely hated running. I don't know why I ever did them.
No, not me.
They were just so boring and uninspiring, and the hall I had was shit. It was massive and echo. Great for space, but really bad acoustics. Really bad for dogs when I look back. Slippery old wooden floor. Just terrible.
Yeah. Okay then. So, could you have put more puppy classes on?
I could.
Why didn't you do that?
That's a great question. Because the inquiries I was getting were warranting there was a need to help other dogs. I think that's where my head went.
Okay. And in the grand scheme of things, at that time, did putting those additional services on feel like you were generating more work? Did it bring in more
It took
money
a lot more work to do it. It was harder. Anything that was that kind of age group, which it typically was between that 6 and 12 month age group, had zero training. And I felt like I worked like doubly hard in those classes, not only to fill them, because yes, I was getting inquiries, but I wasn't getting consistent inquiries like I was with the puppy stuff. So I'd have to like try a bit harder to sell those classes. So it was not only like marketing, it was harder. Filling the classes was harder, and delivering it, I was exhausted after every time that I did them. And I did do my best with what I had, like the way I was doing it, but I was just like, oh God, it's so draining and exhausting, and the results were so bad. Like really, I'm surprised anybody got anything out of it with, you know, what I was designing. And then like I did those Kennel Club classes for a bit. No one really wanted to take the test, you know, the bronze, silver, gold thing. I'd try and push it, but no one really wanted it. And then I just got one day, I was like, fuck this is just crap. And I remarketed those classes as fun obedience classes, which I just wanted to put the fun into things because I was so just done with the boring kind of format of it. So I tried marketing it with a fun in capital letters and obedience in small letters, because that was what people were asking for. Have you got obedience classes? So I thought, well, I'll put obedience in it, but I'll make the element of it fun. And then those were better because I've talked about this before, but I had 1 week where there were no dogs. So I really enjoyed that first week where I just had the owners and I did some body language videos and I talked about all the setup of the class, how it was going to look, how it was going to feel. Awesome. And then come week 2, it was just chaos again. Pretty much. It was better than the other way. I reduced the amount of dogs in the class to 6 rather than 8. I'd got a smaller hall as well, which kind of made sense to do that. And you'd get the odd owner that was like dedicated and did all the work, and it was great. But the majority were just, again, it was hard.
Yeah, it's oh, frog in my throat. It always fascinates me because you're not the only person that listens to like a handful of people, and we tell ourselves the story, don't we? Going like, oh, but this is what people want because a few people have mentioned it.
Yeah.
Like, who else are the other people? Where are all they coming from?
And like you say, I had no shortage of puppy owners coming through. Like I was known as the puppy girl at the time because no one else was doing just puppies, and I kind of put puppy school on the map in the area. Really, I was pulling people in from like a good 45 minutes to an hour radius of the area.
Well,
I know. And it's just crazy when I look back at like that to go like, I could have just doubled the amount of classes. I could have trebled the amount of classes. I'd have still filled them and I'd have had a lot more satisfaction with doing, even with those limitations of how it was set up in a class. At least you've got baby puppies there coming in.
yeah.
That if you get it right from the outset, you can get quite, better results, I suppose.
Yeah. So I think it's safe to say then that you kind of took the same path as everybody else ends up doing at some stage or another.
I listened to the noise around me and that everybody else was starting to... The typical kind of process was you started with puppy school, you did that for a bit, you got to grips with it, you did your one thing really well, and then you went, right, we'll add something else on and something else. And every time I did that, I diluted the impact it was having. And I felt I didn't use social media hugely because it wasn't really it. As I started my classes, social media started. Yeah, that's how old. And so I didn't really use it. I was doing all the organic sort of local area stuff at the time. But when I did start to use it more, my focus was very much like mixed. Like I never really knew what I was talking about. What 1 minute I was putting on pub classes, the next minute hoopers, the next minute agility, the next minute scent work. Like it was all very diluted is the word.
Using it as an advertising board.
Yeah. And there was no value. There was no... My face was never on it, ever. But you wouldn't have... It was on my website, I think, but you wouldn't have found me on social media, my face.
No. Where were you listening to the noise then? Because I know you don't typically...
Puppy school tutors. It was in the forums, in that's pretty much all I ever spent my time, was in that space, and I was in the APDT like from 2011. So I'd be in that forum, but apart from that, it was all those people that started that way, and then they would naturally start offering other services, and I just copied what everyone else did.
It fascinates me how we do this.
Yeah.
And how common it is.
Yeah. So it's one of those things, isn't it? I wouldn't be where I am today, wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't for that path. However, I look at it now and think, gosh, if I only knew then what I know now. Yeah. And I think, again, it's looking back at that organisation or those organisations and going like, if they truly believe in their thing, and let's face it, this isn't a puppy school bashing episode at all, but if puppy school believe in their thing that much, why is it called puppy school? Why isn't it called all dog school? Because that should be the thing that they're encouraging their tutors to just push. And that message was diluted from them.
Yeah.
And this is, I suppose, the failing, isn't it, of these organisations, really.
Yeah.
It's lead by example.
Well, this is it. It's like for the fact that the whole industry operates in a very similar fashion, there must have been a point where it was top-down information.
Yeah, it was, definitely.
Because it had to be. Now, I just think it's everywhere. And I think we're trying to learn from other people. Like, you only have to look at Facebook groups now on social media and how many hundreds and thousands of people there are in various dog training groups to know that, like, if you've got a baby trainer coming in or somebody new into the industry, typically it's a good place to start and ask a question, isn't it? It's like, oh, what does everybody offer? What do you all do? What do you do for business? And so on and so forth. And the hundreds of comments you get back are going, well, either just try everything, like that's where I started, or do this. But it's all information that has just been passed down from everything else. And I don't think we know a different way as a collective industry.
No, and I also think that we don't know enough. We're not sure enough of ourselves yet to know that, even if you've got a bit of a good gut instinct, which I think I did, but I was like, well, I'm going to take advice from these other people because they have been doing it for longer. Like, they're the ones who've created this organisation. They must know what works and what doesn't. And so, like, being a person who's going like, well, I'm going to take that kind of advice and do the thing that I'm not told to do, because it wasn't that. It was always a choice. But, like, I'd be stupid not to because they're all doing it. And if I'd known my own way a little bit more back then, had a bit more belief in what I was doing, and I was doing really okay job. I was going to say good job, but I'd say okay because of the way it was set up. Only that really, that I could have made it massively. I don't know. I could have done such an awesome job compared to an okay job, really.
Yeah. So what was it for you then that kind of got you to the point where you wanted a change?
Because I ended up just offering so many things and literally working most evenings, all day Saturday, some Sundays. So, and of course, everything goes up. Well, I was one of these people that never liked to put the prices up. Like, I was doing dog walking as well by that time, and scratching to the highest level really to supplement a wage I had, because I'd moved jobs by that point and had a okayish wage at the council. And then I was like, I want to leave there. I want to go all in with dogs, but I'm going to supplement that with dog walking. So that, I suppose that was the part where I really started scratching and going like, this is a lot of work, like physically hard work. It's mentally hard work because you've got all these different parts to think about, like all these different dogs, and there'd be certain days where there were awesome dogs and it would be easier, and then certain days where it was really hard because the dogs were not responsive, or they've really pulled, or they've really took a toll on my body. And my God, the amount I spent on physio over the years was like ridiculous as well. And I think it was probably that it was taking its toll. 7 years I did dog walking, and each winter I used to think, this has got to be my last. Got to be it, because I can't keep doing this. I don't want to be 50 odd and doing dog walking. And then because I was just, offering all these additional training services, working most evenings, exhausting myself in the day, I was just like, I can't see myself doing this. Like, what am I going to do here? Because I don't want to be doing this when I'm 50 odd, 60 odd. But what else can I do now? Because I've gone all in on dogs. Like, where's my choice here? So I was really at that point where I was like, some days I felt like I wanted to jack it in, but then other days were like, what else am I going to do? Go and work Tesco's full time? Like, those were my options almost. That's how I saw my options anyway.
It's funny how Tesco's always comes into an example equation,
it,
isn't it? Like, it's the go-to thing from anybody going like, oh, if it fails, just go get a job.
Well, I used to work there, so I could have probably got back in there. So it was an easy in.
Okay, so you're at that point now, you're scratching at the highest level. What impact was that having on your life, running your business that way? Not even just you personally, but...
Well, I spent a lot of time not only delivering, I had no time to spend on the business. Literally just did what I knew how to do.
Did it even enter your head to spend time on the business?
No. Because what could I do? I almost think that I thought I was... Like, we've just done a podcast episode on dog trainers thinking small. And believing they can only be, and when I say small or big, what I mean is like your limitations are small. And so certain business tactics and knowledge and stuff wouldn't apply to you because you're just a small, lowly dog. And that's how I used to look at myself and go like, I'm a small local dog trainer. I don't know what else I can do. I don't know how I can improve this. And because there was nothing offered in the industry, and that's all I would look at, because that's again conditioned into us to go like, if you need help with anything, you look to the dog industry. Nothing's being offered by the dog industry. Oh, there must be nothing we can do about it. And so I suppose for me, I was like, it was this never ending cycle of like making enough money. But by this point, I had my husband to support me when I needed it. And so it wasn't like an urgent thing. Like if we'd split up, say if we were at that point where we'd split up, there's no way I would be able to carry on doing what I was doing. There's no way I could have supported myself fully.
Scary times, isn't it?
Really scary time. And I think maybe I had that kind of realisation one day of going like, shit, if we did split up tomorrow, what would I do? I couldn't do this. I'd have to go and get a job at Tesco. Like, there's no way. And I thought, I don't want that. I don't want that for me. I don't want to be reliant on somebody because I hate that anyway. And I don't want to go and work at Tesco's. What can I do? And then you came along.
Oh.
Like a little shining beacon.
A little shining beacon. I am a little shining beacon, yes.
You came at exactly the right time.
Universe.
It was like a universe thing because I didn't know I needed it and I desperately needed it. Because I never sat there every day. Like, I know some dog trainers are like going, oh, I can't, this is just like turmoil and I need to get out of it and I'm in a hole. It wasn't that bad. It was bad on a scale of 1 to 10, a 7. It wasn't like really high pain.
The comfort number.
It is the comfort number. It is the comfort number. And I could put up with it. I could deal with it. Like the pain wasn't as strong as it could have been. If there was that like Gareth leaving me tomorrow, the pain would have been like 10, 11, 20. But it wasn't that high. But then, so you and I met because you needed some research. You were doing research because you were trying to get into the APDT.
Trying.
And we'll come on to that story later. So like we'll skirt over it for now.
Yeah.
Because the next episode will go into that. Jo was trying to get into the APDT. She reached out to me and you said, can I come and watch one of your classes? So you came along and we got on really well.
Love at first sight. Come on now.
Oh, it was love at first sight. I literally ditched my class for you.
I know.
And like you just came along and you were fresh and you had these awesome ideas from just that hour long like meeting that we had. And that was me teaching a class, ditching them, going and speaking to you, doing the next thing, ditch them, go and speak to you again. And only in that short time, I was like, she's got something that other people aren't doing. It like just struck me. And you hadn't really gone into detail about what you were doing that much. You were just like, oh yeah, I don't do this kind of thing. And I was like, what else do you do? What else is there? What's the thing? And then we just arranged to meet, didn't we, after that?
Yeah.
And we kept meeting.
Lots of coffee chats.
Lots of coffee chats. And then I found out more about what it was you did, which was a completely different business model to what I was doing and what most people were doing. And I remember just feeling like, could I do that? Is that something that why aren't I doing it? And I remember just feeling really inspired by like, at this point, we hadn't even had the conversation about you helping me or, you know, mentoring me or anything. But I was like, oh my gosh, if someone else is doing that, I want to be part of that. I want that thing. And I immediately just saw like a bit of light at the end of the tunnel. And it just made me feel hopeful and to go like, shit, maybe I can make this better then. And I remember just like every time we spoke and every time I saw you, I'd just feel a bit more, I don't know, valued, I suppose, and a bit more like determined to make things work differently for me. And that's the impact of like who you surround yourself with.
Oh, yes. It makes a huge difference, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Huge difference. Because if you're in that zone or bubble or wherever you're at and everyone's negative and it's hard work or... Because let's face it, like, we're human beings. Everybody loves to live in the negativity, don't they?
Yeah. But then there was nothing negative coming out of your mouth. Like everything you were saying was like... I remember when I thought I was quite a positive person before I met you. And then I was like, okay. Oh, I can't do that. Like, I remember you, like, when we were actually working together, and I remember you sitting me down and going, like, well, this is what you need to know. I can't do that. And you were like, why? I was like, I don't actually know. I've just said it, and I don't even know why I can't do it. But there were lots and lots of times like that. And the digital diary was one of those times, which sounds absolutely ridiculous now.
I'm scarred by that event.
I had a paper diary. She was absolutely mortified. Bought my file of facts to one of the meetings. And you were like, what the hell? What is this? I thought my sister bought me this. I was very proud of that little mini file of facts. But you were like, yeah, this isn't going to work. Like, you need a proper... I had no sort of form of organisation. Well, I did and I didn't. I did in my own way.
It was the accounting book that got me.
And I had my own. My mum works for an accountant, just for context. My mum works for an accountant. And I thought I didn't have an accountant at that time. But I was like, she was like, come and speak to Steve and see what he thinks, like whether he thinks he can help. So I took my accounting book to Steve and he was like, oh my God, somebody who actually writes their accounts in a book. And I was like, okay, does everyone not do this? Puppy school taught me that. That was the business element of what we've got taught. And he was very impressed by it, and almost like I felt like a museum piece. And at that point, I kind of thought, maybe I do need to change this. But you see, it wasn't broken. It worked. It did the job.
It did.
The paper diary did the job.
It did.
But almost like my mindset about it was like, it works. Why would I change it? But I wasn't thinking of like efficiency. I wasn't thinking of ease of. I remember like, this is how ridiculous, right? I remember taking that Filofax to appointments when I was doing programs and I'd started booking like 10 sessions in. And if I forgot the Filofax, that was a whole element of the thing I couldn't do. So I was like, I actually don't have my diary. That doesn't look very good.
Yeah. You don't realise it until you start looking back, do you? But you tell yourself, like, I always have it with me. Why would I not have it with me? I'm not a human being that forgets things.
Yeah.
Okay, then. So you are at the stage now then where we're doing a bit of work together, and actually, no, I kind of want to lean in a little bit more because I don't know if it's completely obvious what your driving factor was to want to change. Because like you say, you're at that 7, and then yes, you met me and you felt, what'd you say, like breath of fresh air or something, but like what specifically then from those two things of like being a 7 and meeting me and then going, actually something does need to change? Because we all have to make that decision, don't we? We all have to, if you are thinking of doing anything, regardless of what it is, even if you're going to go and buy a bottle of pop or something, you still have to make the decision to go and do it. So what, if you can remember, I don't know, what was kind of going on in your head at that point?
Really interestingly, actually, I want to just focus on when you proposed the investment to me, because you'd sort of said, yeah, I can help, blah, blah, blah. And it was all cash. And then I was like, right, well, tell me what I need to do then, because I'm in from the conversations we've had. I want to know what it is you do, because I think that point, the driving force was, it was the results were not great. I was putting so much into something and owners weren't getting the results that I wanted them to get from the amount of input I was putting in. I was like, hang on a minute, it's shit. Like the very low percentage of people that are coming out the other side from working with me that are like smashing their goals. And so I think dog walking was a factor. I did want to ditch that. I wanted more income. I wanted more time. I wanted all of those things. But I think the ultimate driving force was I could have just stayed with all those things, but I wanted people to do better. I wanted them to come away from me going, she's fucking awesome. Like you wouldn't go anywhere else. And that service works really well for them, and it is convenient for them, and they have an awesome dog at the end of it and they feel better. So it's probably the human transformation as much as the dog transformation. So I suppose that's the reason why I did it. Plus, I'm always the sort of person that wants to do better and wants to find a way of, I don't know, like doing something to the best of my abilities. And I knew there was always more. I knew when I started dog walking, I was like, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? Because you will get bored of doing this in a few months. Oh, no, it didn't take even a few months, a few weeks in. But then I started getting all these clients in because it was an easy sell for me, because dog training brought in the clients that needed dog walking. So I was accidentally building this bloody empire of dog walking that I didn't actually want. And I was bored, like as much as I enjoyed the dogs I was walking and, you know, the ones that were a joy. And I got to know them like my own dogs, and you care and all that. I was bored shitless. Like every day I was like, I can't be having this. And I like to be somebody who's stimulated, and I like a challenge and stuff like that. And it just wasn't. So I think it wasn't just one thing. I think it was a few things, but they culminated together to form this big thing. But I remember when you presented it to me in an investment, and I literally, my mouth must have like opened onto the floor. I was like, fucking hell, what? How much? Like, and that's what my first thought was, oh wow, no, I can't spend that much. So it was like 5k, I think it was, wasn't it? And for me to spend 5k on anything, like I've never spent that on a car even or anything like that. I was like, shit, no way. So I didn't tell Gareth because we talk about a lot of stuff. Like I wouldn't have gone ahead with doing that unless I'd spoke to him first, because that's just, I don't need his approval, but I almost kind of do because I want him to believe that I can do it. So I didn't have that conversation with him. And I remember opening the thing and going like, oh, that's a no. And just put it down, like my phone down or whatever. And I just couldn't stop thinking about it. And I was like, it's that much for a reason. Like, if you'd have put that investment at like 500 quid, I don't know if I'd have done it because I wouldn't have valued it as highly. And that's genuine. Like, I've probably never told you that, but I might not have done it. And it was because it was so much that I was like, it's got to be fucking good then, if it's that much. And then I was like, no, you know, safety kicks in, like, can't afford that, all the things you tell yourself, you know. And nah. And I just kept thinking about it. And then Gareth got back from work, and I was like, I've got to speak to him about it because I can't stop thinking about it. I told him, and he was like, what? It's the same reaction. And Gareth's quite a risk-averse person anyway, in a lot of ways. And he's like, really? You're not going to do that, are you? And I was like, no. I remember, like, so I think I was cooking dinner or something like that. I was like, nah. And I was like, so do you think it's like, do you really think it's a lot then? And he was like, well, what do you define as a lot? I suppose, yeah, compared to anything else you've ever done or anything else you've ever bought. Like, do you really want to spend that much money? And I was like, what if it changes things? What if it changes my life? And he was one that always used to say to me, hence the scrattiness, his phrase was, when are you going to stop scratting around walking other people's dogs? And he'd said that way ago, like years before. And that was in my head. And I was like, what if it stops me scratting around? What if it stops me scratting, walking other people's dogs? All of those things you've said. And he was just like, well, how do you know it's going to stop? How do you know it's going to change your life? And I was like, how do we ever know anything? There's no certainty around anything, let's face it. And then we started having a proper conversation about it. And he was like, well, I would like you to stop scratching around. I would like you deserve to earn more money. The amount of work you do, the amount of time you put into it. Like, I would like to see you earn more money. However, reservation. And I was like, okay. So I think we ended up having the sort of developed version of the conversation a few times within I don't know how long I took to make the decision, like a couple of days.
I was going to say, it wasn't long.
Wasn't that long,
No.
but it was like, I remember messaging you, so like, I'm thinking about it, I'll come back to you. And then I was just like, I've got to do this because nobody else has ever offered me anything like this before. Nothing has ever made me think as deeply as this. Nothing has ever made me question everything I'm doing so much since I met you. And it was just simple things that you'd say. And I'd go like, yeah, you are right. Like, why am I doing this? Why am I doing it the way I'm doing it? Don't know. And I'd no answer for some of the things that you would just come out with. And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to do it. And I remember saying it to him and he's like, then I think that's the right decision and you should do it. I was like, okay, I'm going to do it. And I messaged you like, I'm going to do it. And it just felt like scary, really scary. But I knew with every ounce of my body, I was going to do everything you told me to do. And I did it. Some of them took a little while, but I think I did everything.
Yeah, you did. Can you imagine if you didn't make that decision?
I know.
CBA wouldn't exist.
No. Scary.
Very scary. Very interesting. So there's a lot in that. And in that time period then of fully committing and going, right, I am going to do something different, because it is scary. Because again, like we've already said it, like the industry doesn't, in our opinion anyway, give you the skills to be a business owner. I mean, school doesn't even give you the skill. No. Like, you don't get anything unless you go out and seek it. And I think for a lot of us, we sometimes accidentally fall into this industry as well. Or we accidentally create a business and go, shit, it is actually a business. So for you then, a lot changed and you definitely entered that journey with going all in on it. What was the thought process around that? Because there are a lot of people that are listening, I imagine, and we know this because we've also had these conversations with people who have taken that jump and joined us in CBA and on our coaching programs. And you see it across the board. Like we see it in some of our mentorships that we go to, where you'll get some people that jump in with both feet and like, right, you know, I've invested, I'm here, I'm going to trust you, I'm literally going to, you tell me what to do and I'm going to do it. And then you got other people that join the same program and maybe don't get the results that they were looking for, or feel that other people are just flying past them. So for you, what was the thought process around jumping all in and going, right, I am just going to listen and I am going to do and maybe even at that time you didn't realise how scary it was going to be? I don't know.
I had no idea how scary it was going to be. If I had known, I probably wouldn't have done it. And that was the beauty of it. It was vague, and it was good for me that it was vague because I didn't need to know. I like detail in some things, but actually knowing very little about how it was going to work and what you were actually going to go through was better for me. I think I just trusted you so much. I thought, well, you've done it. Look what you're generating every year. I want that, and I know you can teach me how to do it. So unless I do everything you say, I'm not going to. And if I don't do everything you say, the only person I can blame is me if it doesn't work. Because I never wanted to blame you, because I was like, well, it isn't your fault. If it doesn't work, it's my fault. Like, I've got ownership of myself, and I know that I can do it. I knew I could do it. It's just that some of the things were a bit scary and they took a little bit longer for me to do. But I was like, the only person I'm going to blame is myself.
Do you know, that's such a strong belief to have in yourself, though, because a lot of people don't have that and can easily put the blame on something else.
No, I'd never put it on. And with my owners and stuff, like when they didn't have great success with their training, I was like, what have I done? My fault, that is, why they haven't succeeded. I can never put it on them. Sometimes you get a little bit, oh, God, you could have done that, you could have done that, your timing was shit. It's like, well, it's relying on me, teaching them how to get the timing right, how to set them up for success. Like, I shouldn't have let that puppy sit next to that one. No wonder it's just straining at the lead to try and get there. Like, that's what I'd do, and learn from it and go like, well, next time I'm going to put that one over there and that one over there. So everything that I've ever done, I've kind of looked at it and gone like, that's on me, that is. That's not them.
Yeah.
And so having that awareness that I probably didn't know I even had, I went into that program exactly the same, going like, well, I'm responsible for this if it doesn't work, so I'm going to make sure it fucking works. and I did.
I love that. I love the determination rate, because I genuinely think that mindset is what sets people apart when they jump in on these things. Like, we have to be fully committed to doing whatever it is we're doing. Same way, like if you're taking clients on for dog training, you have to be fully committed to know that you're going to serve them to the best of your ability and help them get the outcome that they want. But they've got to want it just as much, otherwise it doesn't work. And that's where I think that whole vetting process comes in, which isn't a topic for this conversation. So you're now in our program. What were some of the hardest things for you?
Sales calls.
In what way?
Because I'd never really done them. Everything pretty much was automated for me. Like, I say automated, it was like pay here button on my website. And I suppose I had done calls, but they were just like a one-off, one-to-one session. So it doesn't matter. If they're shit, it doesn't matter. I'm not asking the right questions anyway to figure out if they're shit or if we're not the right fit. I'm just going, oh, that's a sale. And all I do is find out what the problem is, figure out if I can help in 2 seconds in my head. Yeah, I can help. Here's how much it is. What's your address? That's how the sales conversation went. Otherwise, it was all just click on my website, buy it here. So it wasn't a skill that I'd ever had to use. It wasn't like, you know, when you telling me like you need to find out how somebody feels like emotionally, how much it's affecting their life, how much impact it's having. I'm like, huh? What do you mean? And so we did lots of role play of sales, and I wasn't confident with it at all.
I remember these role play days. We were sat in like the farm shop.
And I'd just be like, you go, come on. Well, I was like, I'm not doing it here. And you were like, you are. I'm like, oh my God, I can't do it. And it was how many, I can't do it. You were like, yes, you can. I was like, oh, fuck's sake, she's always right. Really annoyed me.
I love it. But you jumped, like, you did actually jump straight in from, what was it, £80 per person for a course?
Or 50 for a one-off session, a one-to-one session.
Yeah. And what did you launch with?
997 program. That's it. That's all I had. I stripped everything. I just ditched everything. I literally ditched everything. When you look at it now, I'm like, oh my fucking God.
Yeah, you didn't.
No wonder I was scared.
Yeah.
But I didn't look back. I didn't. Like, I remember you saying, like, why are you still doing that thing? Or why are you still doing that thing? And I was like, I think we even had, like, the bread and butter was the puppy classes, and it always was. And you were like, why are we still doing that? I was like, but, and now I'm thinking about the conversation we had and have it with clients all the time. Why are we still doing that then? Well, it's because it's my bread and butter, because I get loads of people in. I was like, right. Only because that's the thing that you are relying on, and that's the thing you're probably talking about the most. But if you didn't have that and you had something else instead that could be even better and bigger and awesome, how do you feel about that? I remember you asking me these questions and me like going, can I just keep the puppy classes and still do the thing? And you were like, yeah, if you want to devalue it, if you want to, like, no one's going to pick that thing over that thing, are they? And I was like, no, they're not. And are you truly believing that puppy classes are better than that thing? I was like, no. Well, there you go. Why have we got that thing? And I was like, okay, let's get rid. And we literally went through every single service, which took a while. And you asked me those same questions, and I went through the same thought processes. And I remember being defensive and being like, but I want to keep it, and I want to feel safe, and I like it. And you were like, do you? Do you like it? Do you enjoy it? I'm like, no, not really. and literally, like, peeled the, like, imagine like a domino thing, like every single one was like flat, 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 go, go, go. And I was just like, there's nothing else left. Yeah, okay, let's go all in on the program.
It's interesting that, because, yeah, there was a lot of defensiveness. But it's natural though, isn't it? It's like, it's a totally natural thing.
I've created it.
Yeah.
I'm known for it.
When you pair that with what you said earlier of, well, no, I'm going to totally listen, and I'm going to do as I'm told, and all of that, it's like, well, it's a natural thing to have that conflict. It's that natural thing to go, oh, wait, shit, hold on. You are challenging me here. And I'm sure we've talked about this in other episodes, but when we feel like we're being judged or made to be wrong, you naturally get defensive.
Yeah. And I did push back, and internally I'm pushing back at you and going, I know she's right, and I need to accept this. When do I stand down? And I'm going like, I'm going to keep pushing back for a bit, because I feel like I need to, and I'm quite stubborn. And then I go,
no shit, Sherlock.
And then I go, oh God, yeah, okay, you're right again. Let's do it. And
I like hearing this episode today.
oh, bloody hell. God, big head after this.
I know, it fit out the room.
Yeah, so it was an internal battle going on every time. It wasn't outwardly what you were saying was like, no, I'm not doing it. It was like, no, I'm not. I'm saying, no, I'm not doing it. And inside going, I know I'm going to have to do this. I will do it.
Yeah. I think it's a good point to labour on though, because again, if anyone's ever thinking of investing in coaching of any kind, you will have these moments, because if you've got a coach that is good and they know what they're doing, then they will make you question yourself, and you ultimately have to get really comfortable pretty darn quick sitting in that uncomfortable space.
Yeah, because you never told me to do anything ever. Like, you never said you have to get rid of this stuff. You were like, if you want this, that ain't going to do it. Like, I'm telling you now, like, and it's like, asking me the questions of going like, why do you do it? What does it bring you? What does it bring your clients? Like, what if you didn't have it? What would that look like, or what would that feel like? All those questions. And I'm just going through the process and the motions of like, imagining I don't have it. Imagine I do have it. Imagine if I don't do this thing. And I'm going like, I've come to my own conclusions with every single bit of it. Because if you told me what to do, I wouldn't have. Although I knew I had to do what you say, there's a way. There's like a very specific way that you do that in a, like you say, in a good coach will never tell. They will help the person come to that conclusion themselves, ask the right questions. And it was all about that. And every time I was like, it's my decision and I'm ready to make that decision now, even if I've pushed back a little bit. Now I'm ready. And I think actually, as we went through naturally, knocking down all the dominoes of all my services, the last ones were just like, just go in one go. Like, I've done all the pre-work now. Like, they can just fuck off.
Yeah. And it's a lot of groundwork that you're having to cover, aren't you, in these early phases when you're looking to make a shift in your business?
And actually, do you know what probably the hardest one for me to let go of at the end was? The Hoopers, because that was more like a club, and because people were paying £10 a session. And we did do a little bit of work around making it into like a bigger program with various sports and things like that. And it worked and this is where like you learn from it, because you go, well, tried that. Didn't feel like it felt right for some reason. So we did it for a bit. And then I just thought, like, do you know what? If I was going to do something like a Hoopers and I was going to make that a success, I'd have wanted to go all in on Hoopers, and I could have made that into an amazing thing, but I didn't. I didn't want that, but I absolutely could have. So if that was something that really kind of I clung on to, I could have done something better with that. But I was like, do you know what? I feel like I'm going to be charging too much for what these people are wanting and expecting of me, and they've been with me for a long time, like, and I say a long time, like a year or so, like of people just coming weekly or every other week and stuff. And I wasn't comfortable with doing that, I don't think. So I was like, do you know what? I'd rather like clean slate it. And if I was going to do something like that again, create it from scratch, have no previous clients, and just go like, this is it. This is the thing. You join it, you don't join it. And that's why I think it's thinking of those clients you've already got. In fact, we've got a client at the moment, and she's creating something, and she's like trying to cling on to the clients she's already got that paying a lot less, and almost created this subcategory of something to accommodate them. And you're like, it never works like that. You either have to cut them all off and start from scratch, or you just go, no, you're not for me anymore because I've changed.
Yeah. And is it like you're allowed to do these things? You're allowed to evolve. Your business can change. It can do these different things. Yeah. But it is scary getting rid of it. So I think certainly from where you were, like, for how long you did super low ticket stuff, to go from that straight into a 997 program, there's not many people that can do that.
No, and then it didn't stay at 997 for very long. It went to 1297 and then 1500 was in the end.
Yeah. How do you think you were able to jump from £80 to all in on a 997?
Because I believed in it. Because I knew the value of it, and I knew that whole thing about like, oh, know my worth. But I actually knew it was better. It was way better for the client. Way, way better. And I knew that I would be a better person for delivering it. And, you know, we talk about like, if you're not, we don't talk about self-care in the typical way, but if you're not looking after yourself, you're not going to show up as the best version of yourself. Your clients get a shit version. They get a shit service. They don't get the outcome. That was so typically me. And the minute I started that program, I was like, oh, this is what it's all about. This is me loving working with people again. This is me having so much time to spend with people and building a bloody awesome relationship. And as soon as I sold that one program and I started it, I was like, I've got 1000% belief in it. And that's where first one was scary to sell, but funny enough, it was through a friend of a friend. So she was like in whatever. I think I could have presented her £15,000 and she'd have paid it because she just respected me and like she'd heard so much about me. That was kind of helpful. But then after that, like pretty much everyone else was cold, or there were people that bought the programme that had been to puppy classes for 80 quid. And my mind immediately goes, well, they're never going to pay that. And they did. And I'm like, great. You're now going to receive a much better service, FYI, on this. And they did. They all did. So I think for me, it was like, yes, it was a massive jump. But again, I think the way I viewed it was like working with you, I've got to value, like the value is in that price point. And so like, if I go from 80 quid to like 200 quid, it's not enough. It's nowhere near enough of a jump for me to ditch everything and just offer 200 quid, 300 quid service. Screw that. Like if I'm going to go it all in, I'm going to go all in. And that's what I did.
Yeah. It was a pretty epic journey to watch, actually. I remember getting like the messages from you again, like, oh my God, you just sold
every time I sold one.
But it's nice, isn't it? Like you get that buzz, and it's lovely because I think, again, we do talk about money a lot, and I'm never going to shy away from that or apologise about talking about money because I think it's such an important part of being a business owner. But I think it's really nice for people to hear that you don't have to lose that. If anything, like you gain that relationship stuff, don't you? Like you deliver a better service rather than thinking you're helping somebody out by offering a low ticket £30 session because that helps somebody else. Like it's not helpful.
It doesn't work like that.
It's really not helpful. You'd be much better off looking after yourself and giving somebody several months for free of your time if you genuinely want to help somebody, because you are safe and secure in yourself that you are able to give somebody that pro bono offer should you wish, rather than going, oh, well, oh, just give me a... I've known people before just go, oh, just give me the like petrol money or something. Just give me a tenner.
Yeah.
So why? Like, it's not valued.
It's not, and it's, I don't know, I was treated like a part of the family. People would say, it's the highlight of our week, because I used to do weekly sessions to begin with. So I was literally there every week. Oh, it's our favourite part of the week. And like feedback like that, I'm like, fucking hell, I've never had this. And I've never had predictability in it, because it was always like, I'll get it from wherever it comes from. That like I could breathe. I knew I'd got these people for like 3 months initially, and then when I changed the format, it was 6 months. Like 6 months I've got these people for, and I've got time to nurture and build that relationship and help them build an awesome relationship with their dog. And I don't know, it just totally flipped. And do you know another benefit, right? It made me realise that I could earn money on my own without any support from anyone else. And I was like, and again, I keep using this example, but if me and Gareth split up, I was like, I can absolutely support myself now. And like, that was a nice feeling to have, because I've always been somebody who could support myself previously. Like the original part of that story was like scratching about, earning a pittance, but managing to do it. And that point where I got to before we met was like, I don't know if I can do this, because we've moved to a bigger house. I literally would struggle to support myself and the dogs and stuff. So I was like, he was really proud of me for doing it. And I remember him saying like, so fucking proud of you for doing that, because you've done it all. And I'm like, oh yeah, but Joe's done it. I'm like, no, you've done it. I'm like, yeah, you are right. You are right. I'll take that credit. But yeah, it was his, not approval again. I don't look at it like that, but I was like, he was genuinely proud. And he was like so glad I wasn't scratching about anymore.
It has a massive knock-on effect on everything there, doesn't it? Like your relationship immediately is impacted by whatever choice you make.
Yeah.
Because you live with that person, you take whatever feelings home. It's there, it's all laid out on the table.
Yeah.
The kitchen table.
The kitchen table. Exciting things to come, people. You wait.
Okay, so that was obviously your journey into how you changed your dog business. We then merged our dog businesses together.
That was scary as well. I didn't want to let that go, did I?
No.
Because now you've helped me create an amazing business. How about we merge it? Oh, fuck. There's another thing I've got to deal with.
I forget how much kickback you've given me over these years. It's all bringing these things back to life.
Dredging it up.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, hold on, I'm just giving you loads of kudos in this
All right,
episode as well.
Yeah, true.
Like yin yang.
Yeah. Okay, I'll take it. But we merged the businesses, and scary for some of us, not others. I'm very committed once I'm all in. And that business grew, phenomenally in the space of a few months, because it was a combined...
Two established, it was
like
income generating businesses.
Slick money generating machines in a really nice integral way with our clients that we had awesome relationships with, and merging that. I remember merging the group sessions together as well. I was like, oh, hi, Vicky's bunch. Hi, Joe's bunch. This is Vicky. This is Joe.
Yeah.
And after that, first 5 minutes, I remember your client saying to me, it's like, oh, it's like having Vicky here. And then my guys were saying the same to you. And then we'd be going out to each other's clients. Like, some of them we hadn't even met together, had we?
No.
It was just a case of, oh yeah, right, here's this person's address. Off you pop there, go and do that session. And then I'd do something like that with yours. And everything just worked beautifully because we had those same values. We were running the businesses essentially the same previously anyway. So that merger it just made a load of sense. And then behind the scenes and all of that, that's where CBA was being created, because we'd gone on this journey of creating something from scratch. Both of us experienced it differently. And okay, yes, I mentored you initially, but during that period, that's when we were getting to really know each other as well. And that's when we were going, there's something in this more than just a mentor-mentee relationship. And we've got something here together, which is why then merging those two businesses made sense. And we were dabbling with CBA in the background, and then et voila.
Mm-hmm. And it worked so well because we had the training business that was busy. We were really fucking busy doing that. And we made the decision not to take any new clients on because we were getting to the point where CBA, we had RCC then, by the way, Rebel Core Collective was the original name, if you don't already know, but you do now. We're trying to get traction, and we were struggling with the traction because we had the dog training business that was doing so well, and we couldn't fault it because we'd created it. But then we were like, we need to make that decision. And so that worked so beautifully alongside that we could it dwindled. It took a while to dwindle because we had people that did not want to stop working with us. And it's only recently, we sort of shed the last longer term clients very, very recently, in the last couple of weeks, actually.
Yeah.
But that's how awesome that problem was to have.
Yeah. Couldn't get rid of people.
Couldn't. Right? What you could have as well if you do this.
Yeah. It is there, isn't it? It's like, for the amount, and if anything, I think the purpose of sharing this story today is to show you that we live and breathe this stuff. We love it so much, to the point where we love seeing everybody's journeys, and they're all different and they're all very similar, and there's loads of crossover, and then there are some anomalies. But when you have this skill set, and when you've got that support system around you, and when you've got somebody that believes in you, as much as we believe in every single one of you out there, you all have this opportunity and ability within you to create something that you never dreamed possible.
Mm-hmm.
That's a fact. But it's up to you to take that step and see what happens.
Yeah.
Because if Vicky never took that step, actually, winding it right the way back, if I never took that step to reach out to you in the first place, just to see if I could observe your class, and you never said yes, we wouldn't be here. And that's the reality of just starting off with a small action.
Yeah.
And seeing where it goes.
Yeah. What positive action can you make today to start making a difference?
Mm-hmm.
And it has to start somewhere.
Yeah. Quite powerful, really, isn't it? It's very
powerful.
When you do that reflection piece, the amount we've achieved in CBA,
mm-hmm.
There are people, you are all out there listening now, and you are all scattered all over the globe. Best-selling book, international speakers.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty incredible, and the highlight of it all, even though all those sound amazing, is the fact that our clients are achieving incredible results for them. Some of those are financial massive wins with like 10, 13, 14k months, like knocking it out the park. And then others, it's actually realising this is what I want to do, and I'm going to quit the full-time job and I'm going to go all in and I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And there's so many versions of somebody's success.
We are all in the same sea, but in different boats.
In a different vessel.
In a different vessel. What a great place to end.
Love it. Until next time.
Later.